So these kids are safe and took care of, and you're really taking care of business, and that's wonderful. And, another question that I have for you is like, maybe if storms was to come up or something like that, I'm pretty sure you got tornado drills and things.
Sure, we do drills all the time: tornado, earthquake, shelter in place, we call it. We do a fire drill once a month. So to do our drills, we try to do them at different times during the day so that they're familiar no matter where they are in the building, and even when they're in the cafeteria, because that's a big issue there. If something did happen during the cafeteria, it's hard to get all the kids under the tables in there.
Well, kids face a lot of different issues today that when we was growing up, we didn't face these types of issues. I know at the 5th and 6th grade, kids are already being introduced to drugs. The temptation of drugs being there, maybe from their family or their mom and dad or whatever. You guys deal with that and warn these kids about the dangers of drugs?
Sure, that's part of our health curriculum. We actually call it practical living, and every student goes through that class at some point as a 5th or 6th grader. And we talk about all those kinds of dangers, and again, our counselor that's on staff is wonderful when we do have situations. I'm not saying that we don't have a drug problem, but you don't usually see students actively using drugs at that age in our building. But we have the consequences of family members and friends outside of the building who have an influence on those children, is where we have most of our issues at.
What are some of the ways that you help some of these kids that have troubles at home, maybe being neglected or abused or just going through something like that? I know you got counselors there, but what are some of the ways and steps that you put this child back on the right track?
Sure. One of our first lines of defense is the teachers themselves. We're real strong on building relationships when they're within our building. Every homeroom teacher has anywhere from 23 to probably 29 students in the class. And we operate in small teams. So like in 5th grade, we have teams of 3. So you would rotate those 3 teachers. Those 3 teachers get to know those students very well. In 6th grade, we operate in teams of 2. So they get to know them even better. So usually with that personal connection there, the teacher is the first one to recognize if something's just not right that day. And then we can go from there. They'll talk to them. And if they think it's something that we need to know in the office, we move it on up the ladder to where we can intervene, have our counselor intervene. We have a school psychologist, for the district, that if it's a very serious situation, we can call that person in. And then from time to time, you have to make phone calls to social services, and they've always helpful to get involved and help out as needed. We have a family resource that's great as well also. Anytime a student needs clothes, or if there's a home is burned and we need to provide some things for the family, we've gone as far as even purchasing mattresses for families and seeing that they have a good place to sleep.
Also, the Backpack Club does a lot of work with these schools.
Glad you mentioned that. That one slipped my mind. The Backpack ministry is a great help to our students. You'd be amazed how many kids really look forward and count on that program for the backpacks that they receive to take home with them over the weekend.
I've noticed a drastic change in the parenting. A lot of times now it's the grandparents that are parenting these kids.
It is. More and more you're seeing grandparents, whether it be through divorce or death in the family, or just neglect. Grandparents are ending up trying to raise young children that they really don't, they love them and care for them, but they're just not at that stage of their life that they can be as active as a mom or dad usually.
Well, as well as I do, these kids, a lot of times they're good kids. They just need love, they need support, and they need somebody to be there for them.
That's true. Every student, that's deep down, that's what they really want to know, is that there's someone in that building that cares for them.
Oh, that's great.
And that's what we emphasize, and our staff is wonderful with that. That goes back to that relationship factor that we try to build into everything we do.